Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and welcome back to another battle in Napoleonic Total War 3. We find ourselves in the conflict known as the Dano-Swedish Wars of 1808 to 1809. At this point in time, England and France were heavily involved in the Napoleonic Wars, and the allies of these great nations began to feel the pressure to choose a side. The Danish and Swedish didn't necessarily want a war, but were drawn into conflict by their allies, Denmark being allied to France, and Sweden with an alliance with England at that time. This battle today doesn't represent a specific battle, but is more a representation of conflict during that time period, so I hope you guys do enjoy, and without further ado, let's get to the battle. Alright guys, welcome to the battlefield, and as you can see we are on a pretty boggy plain somewhere in Norway. Now, the Swedish did have some initial advances moving into Norway, but once French reinforcements arrived in Norway to help the Danish, the Swedish advance was stopped in its tracks. Now, there has been a lot of pushback from the French and the Danes, and the Swedish have had to do a controlled retreat, slowly giving up the territory that they fought so hard to take. And now they are formed up outside of a very small village here. You can see it's a small village with a little bit of a farmstead on the eastern side. And a lot of the Swedish are going to be formed up on the eastern side here. You can see that there is a good amount of Swedish soldiers holding this ridge along with some artillery. And then great British reinforcements are going to be holding the actual town. So as far as the players go, we have Azrien, who is playing as the country of Great Britain, or the United Kingdom, and then I am his ally as the Swedish, so as I said, I'm holding mostly on this right flank, but I do have some of my more elite infantry and better line infantry holding this flat plain just outside the town as well. For the enemies here, who are just beginning their opening skirmish, we have the Danish, or Denmark, commanded by Noob Nath, and then we won't see any of the French for quite some time. They have a long march down this road, but the French are being played by son of Celebrimbor. So it looks like the Danish are going to get some initial skirmishes in before the French arrive, and hopefully he won't lose too many of his Danish units. He needs to really conserve his man count, because right now he could possibly be going up against both the Swedish and the United Kingdom. We have a couple of, I believe, light infantry units here. I'm not sure if they have a very good shot. If we kind of take a look from where they're firing, I'm not sure if they have a good position or not. However, it's the same goes for this unit here from Great Britain. Not really sure if they're going to be getting any good volleys there, but it looks like the flag bearer was actually just taken down from a snipe, so well done there. Now, as far as the man count goes, intelligence reports of the Swedish are ambiguous at best, just due to the fact that they are in a controlled retreat, so they don't exactly know how many French and Danish forces are out there, but the numbers probably number between 2,000 and 4,000 infantry, and they did have some artillery, but it looks like some early strikes from the Swedish cavalry were able to neutralize the Danish cavalry on this bridge, and we also had some Swedish cavalry over here who made a surprise strike against the French cavalry, getting rid of it as well. So the enemy actually don't have any artillery to their name at this time. In actual fact, just between us, there's a glitch in this map where if you move artillery over bridges, they just blow up. But we're going to pretend that it was the mighty Swedish cavalry that took out the artillery. But yeah, not exactly sure why that is. As soon as you move the artillery over the bridge, the entire crew just dies and the artillery piece is destroyed. However, we don't have time to mull on that for too long, because it looks like we do have the French finally arriving to the battle. We also have a unit from Great Britain here who is formed up in square. He is quite a ways from the actual lines of Great Britain, so it's they're kind of all on their own at this point, and we do have that Danish light infantry charging in to challenge them in melee, but that Danish light infantry is going to be no match for this Great British unit. This, of course, is the 4th Foot, the Lion's King's Own, so a very, very tough unit. However, as I say that, it looks like we do have a charge from the French cavalry. I almost thought that Azrien had taken this unit out of square formation, but he must have clicked it again just in time to stop that French cavalry charge. Of course, these are the 2 E Dragoons, the Conde Dragon. We have another unit over here as well, so we have 2 full units, and it looks like they are going to be going for the Swedish lines here. Hopefully I do notice this and put my units into square. Yes, I do. Just at the last minute, I get my 3 units of line infantry into square formation, and the French cavalry is going to pull back, but it is going to let us volley a couple of those cavalrymen in the back, and you could see that they were taking some casualties from those volleys. So really ineffective charges so far. The cavalry has been contained on this area of the battlefield. We do have this unit here, though, that is in a pretty precarious situation. Now we have the French line infantry here challenging this single unit from Great Britain, and this is going to be a problem to lead them into square formation, because as you can see, firing at the French are only about 6 to 7 men. However, the French are spread out in a line, so they are going to be able to fire 40, 50, 60 shots at that unit at one time. So it's not a good... Yeah, there we go. Azrien Fox quickly realizing this and getting that unit into a proper line formation. However, it's probably in his best interest to pull that unit back to the main line, because the French should be able to just decimate it at this point. These are regular infantry units, I believe, so they're pretty solid as far as their morale goes, and their stats like accuracy and whatnot. 2 of the 48th E de Ligne. Very, very cool. Let's actually watch some of these volleys as well from the French. Oh, and actually, it looks like we have some of the Danish units as well charging from the flanks. So that could be a serious problem for this lone unit. It's all out in the open, and it's just going to be cut down as it tries to face off against the Danish. The French are just getting some excellent fire into its flank. And it looks like the Danish are actually going to be charging right in, so I'd rather actually watch this very slow charge. Again, a lot of the units, when they do get exhausted, and it is easy to get them exhausted in Napoleon Total War 3, they move like molasses. Wow, though. This unit from Great Britain is doing some work. They held against the Danish, but now we have the French charging in here, and it looks like the Great British unit is trying to turn tail and run, but the French will not let them escape and get back to friendly lines. Oh, they're still trying to pull away, but all the while they're taking so much damage. And I believe that the flag bearer of this unit has been cut down as well, so only the 2 French flags remain. Oh, such a desperate stand from the forces of Great Britain. We can go ahead and zoom in here and look at this very intense melee, and there we go, the British have retreated. All in all, though, they actually did a pretty solid amount of work. They initially stopped the French cavalry. They broke 2 of the Danish units, although they may still return. We'll have to keep an eye on if this unit does return, but the King's Own have definitely done a good job. Taking a look at the Danish lines over here, yeah, doesn't look like much is going on so far. I do see some Danish units here, but a lot of them are formed up on this tree line, which is an excellent position for Noob Nath. That's going to really protect his units from the volleys from the United Kingdom. I am seeing some more volleys, though, so yeah, as the French start to crest the hill, the United Kingdom will be gunning them down. Just want to zip on over here. I don't think the French have arrived yet. It's quite quiet over near this farmstead, but I have a lot of my colonial militia units on this flank. And look at the unit size of these guys, 237. Very large units, so I believe I have 3 of those units here of the Landbaren. Basically just militia, and I have some irregular units here as well, so they're not militia, they're kind of in between the regulars and the militia. So I've got a couple of them all along this ridgeline here. Very defensible position. You can see, sorry, I zoomed down a little bit too much there, but from where the French would have to crest this hill, this is a very, very good position for my Swedish units to just volley them as they try to get up to our position. Also, my artillery over here is in a pretty solid position. Not only does it have a commanding view of the boggy plain, but I'm also able to turn this artillery around, and you can see that I'm able to fire right over the heads of my Swedish line infantry and support them in this plain. Well, let's go ahead and, enough talk, come back here and see the fighting against the French. Again, it's 2 units versus the 1 here. Look at that sun, too. What a beautiful shot. And we do have the 28th foot, the Slashers, here facing off against the 2 48E companies of the French. I do see some Danish troops here as well. So we do have some Danish line infantry, not in a very good position, though, to go after this unit from the United Kingdom. But then again, they don't have a good position to fire down either. So I guess it is pretty even. But now we're starting to see the Danish come into view here. You can see they have a lot of line infantry over here in the trees as well. A lot of line infantry. There are the Danish lines. I really love the Danish colors, too. The deep red with the white. It's very close to that of the United Kingdom, but I think I do prefer the deep red to the more bright red, although some of these units do have a pretty deep red as well. Anyways, enough looking at the uniforms. Yes, see, this is the reason. I can't be looking at the uniforms because there's so much that is happening over here. Looks like we do have the 2E Dragoons that did try to get another charge, but good battlefield awareness by Azrien Fox, forming up his King German Legion 4th Foot and seeing them off once again. And it looks like they are routing. I'm not sure if they are exhausted. Yes, they are. That's why they're moving at a snail's pace at this point in time. Here we go, though. It looks like we do have the Danish open firing. This is actually a pretty cool shot. Unfortunately, this unit of line infantry down to 84 and breaking, so Great Britain is doing a lot of work against the Danish on this flank. So they're doing a lot of the heavy lifting right now, I do have to say. There we go, moving forwards into maybe a more advantageous position to face them, but no need. Looks like Noob Nath is going to pull them back and maybe get a better position on them, so always trying to have a more advantageous position than your opponent. Maybe he will actually charge in, too. It'd be interesting to see if he does do that. But we do have the forces of Great Britain over here now lined up again. We've got some more regiments from France moving in. We've got the 25E here. We've also got another 25E. So 2 units of the same here. I guess that matches the 248 that we have. And then Denmark is moving into line infantry. It looks like Azrien Fox is trying to get a position on this unit from Denmark. However, the problem is that the line infantry here, Her Majesty's Frederick Ferdinand's line infantry, is just getting some excellent shots while they're out of position. And yes, I did think that I saw some smoke over here, so the French have finally appeared on the horizon and are now going to be volleying my militia. What do they have over here? They've got some 34, 3 units of the 34. They've also got some of the light infantry here. These guys have excellent range, too. I was really struggling to challenge these light infantry units because my range is nowhere near as good as theirs. So you can see that they can actually volley me all the way from here. And if we zoom in, I'm taking damage, and I'm not in a position to fire back. So that was a huge problem for me on this flank. Finally, I did get my militia into a position to fire on the French lines. And now we're going to have a pretty intense shootout here. I'm going to take a look at it from this side. I do kind of like to not have the red line in these cinematic pictures. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, originally, I did think that I actually had the upper hand on this flank. You can see that the 34E, they are only 133 men. Meanwhile, I have 237 in my units. So I thought that the amount of guns that I would be firing at one time would be a good thing. However, I quickly find out that their accuracy is pretty terrible, and the French accuracy is very good. You can see we're not doing much damage to the French lines, but we are taking a lot of casualties with every volley from the French. Over here as well, looks like I do have to push forward some of my units, unfortunate, but it just had to be done, so kind of giving up my advantageous position, but we still do have the hill on them, which is good. Still have that little hill rise. Let's go and zip back to this other side and see what's going on. Yes, so I have moved forwards my line infantry to help out Great Britain on this flank. They have been doing a lot of work, and I really wanted to kind of relieve a little bit of the pressure on this flank for him. Because you can see that Great Britain has taken quite a few casualties over here. The 28th Foot, the Slashers, is down to 66 men. We've got another unit over here. The King German Legion 1st Foot is down to 27. And we have some Danish forces here, so this is disastrous. Actually pushing the United Kingdom back into the town and capturing some of the outskirts here. We have the King German Legion foot. I'm not sure, but it looks like these brave men are going to be charging into a larger French unit here. 118 versus 20. They are surely going to lose. Let's go ahead and take a look at how my units are doing over here against the French. Not too bad, I have to say. Now, these aren't my most elite units. They're just my line infantry. Unfortunately, I have no idea what the Swedish in these mean. I see the word Kalmar, so possibly regiments from the Kalmar Union, maybe? And we've got Helsing, so maybe a regiment from Helsinki? Just guesses, though. Well, there we go. Volley after volley into the French. And volley after volley is being returned. Oh my goodness, that was a good volley from the French. Very professional troops here. Looks like we got the 40E, the 4th, and the 32nd challenging my line infantry. They actually might be able to push us back with these units. Very, very good volleys there. You can see my Swedish general just on the hilltop as well. He is watching, seeing how this battle is unfolding. Come on, another volley from the French. There we go. Nice. Very good. I don't know why I'm cheering for the French. I really shouldn't be at this point in time, but I just love those volleys. And my line infantry is kind of getting chewed up. Yeah, 110, 99, and 79. If we look at the French regiments, 108, 143, and 127. So they're definitely doing well over here. However, I do have my elite units of lifeguards. I have 2 units of lifeguards that will be able to support this position if it starts to look a little soft. And I also have my artillery. There we go, firing over top. And did I hit any of the French units? Maybe. Might have hit them. This unit did look like I had hit a couple of them. I hear the artillery, and you can see it way over there on the ridge. And it looks like... Oh, yes, my cavalry. My apologies. Totally forgot. I did have my 2 units of Swedish cavalry hidden in the trees. I was able to get a charge onto the Danish lines. Initially, I was able to break 1 unit, but this cavalry is pretty garbage. I'm not going to lie. The hussars and the dragoons that I brought to the battlefield really didn't pay for themselves, in my opinion. But, I mean, the Danish lines are just so strong over here. And let's take a look at how things are going in the trees against Great Britain on the main plains outside the town. It looks like Denmark is taking quite a few casualties against the forces of the United Kingdom. Azrien Fox pushing forwards his main line to challenge the Danes in this tree line. Just trying to zip down this line here so you can see just the extent of it. Actually, some of the units from Great Britain actually look a little soft. This one was 73. Are they being shot in the flank? This unit here, the 52nd, the Light Bobs, Oxfordshire, have actually broken. So, yeah, see, we've got a very strong flank for Denmark over here, and not much going on in the city itself as far as defenses go. The United Kingdom is probably going to have to push up some reserves, if I'm thinking correctly. Yes, yeah, he does have the 1st Foot Pontius Pilate's bodyguards. They are moving into a position to defend. The French are starting to push into the town, though. The 28th Foot, the Slashers, are all that stands in the way of this 25th unit. And, oh no, there we go. Yes, my line infantry did break, unfortunately, but I am moving my Svea Lifeguard and my Anthra Lifeguard into position. Just want to zip on over here and see how things are going. It's kind of a stalemate over here. You can see it's very similar to what it was before. This is a very long and drawn-out skirmish. Let's take stock of how my... Oh, actually, we're here just in time to see a daring charge from the French. And I'm hoping to get a couple more volleys into this unit as they do push forwards. Yes, we do. Come on, boys, come on. Another volley, another volley. Look at that. That volley killed no one in the French lines. That is an embarrassment. We got this French unit charging in as well. Let's see from this side, so we don't have the sun in our face. 210 still left in this Land Baron unit. We've got 172 and 189. Come on, boys. Do I get a counter charge off? I'm not 100% sure if I do or not. Or if we can just get another volley into their face. Yes, as they do get close, we do get a couple of more kills. And there we go. The French have charged into melee. Well done. Well done. Let's zip through the trees and see how things are doing. The 34E French unit has broken, which is excellent. Same thing over here. Yes, I don't even know if this unit made it to the line. Wow. Over here, same. We've got some reinforcements, actually. We've got 2 units of the 33rd moving into position. And hopefully this French unit actually doesn't rally behind enemy lines. That would be pretty disastrous. But we did drive the 34th off with my unit of Land Barons, so that is excellent to see. I was very surprised over here to see how well these light infantry were doing. But then again, maybe it's just down to my militia just not having the accuracy needed to start whittling these guys down. They were an extremely strong unit. Yeah, 42, and I've only brought down 27. Oh, another unit has arrived in front of the light infantry. I believe this one did break and has returned to the battlefield. Where is that other one, though? That French unit. Yeah, okay. No, they haven't returned just yet, so I'm hoping they will go across the red line and be gone for good. But unfortunately, my Land Baron are starting to break under the pressure of these 2 fresh French units. However, I do have a lot of reserves, and I still have my artillery, I believe, firing over into this position. Let's quickly jump over and take a look if I get any good shots. Not quite. However, you can see that the French are starting to become quite depleted when fighting against my 2 units of lifeguards. And there we go. The 4th have broken with 54 remaining. That leaves the 32nd with 79 remaining in that unit. And well done to Great Britain actually charging in. Oh, it looks like they actually broke each other. That's kind of funny. Is this guy dead? Yeah, some of them are kind of getting up after the initial charge and may rejoin their unit. But just look at this. We've got more French reinforcements here. We've got 2 units from the 64th, fresh and ready to go. And we've got a unit of line infantry here as well, still putting down pressure on these first-foot Pontius Pilate bodyguards. However, we've actually got some of the British units flanking around the side here. And this unit from Denmark has broken. However, we do have another one that is coming back. After this initial line battle, I think that the English did a generalized retreat, or a controlled retreat, back to the town, which I think is a smart thing to do. A lot of these units are just units that are breaking. Same over here, yeah, some of my Swedish line infantry breaking from the battlefield. And over here, we've got a couple of fresh units of line infantry from the United Kingdom that are going to be holding this flank. And do we have the cavalry back again? Oh, we do. The cavalry back again. I don't think I put my lifeguards into a square formation, though, so he may have gotten a pretty solid charge off on them. But, yeah, they've just actually retreated from the battlefield, and they might be going into the United Kingdom here. Oh, yes, and Azrien not being able to form square in time, unfortunately. However, maybe he did. The initial square didn't form, but it looks like the horses are now a bit spooked of this formation. So yeah, I think he might have just been able to click the button in time. And we have the unit retreating now. Over here, this is very bad. We have the French general actually moving in against the, what is this? The King German Legion 8th Foot. And they were slaughtered. The general is not very good for charging in. They're such a tiny unit with only 16 in the unit, so they basically do no damage on the charge. And because Azrien was able to get into that square formation in time, I believe that the French general has broken from the battlefield, and that may signal the end of French resistance in this battle. Nice volley there, though, from the 64th. However, the 32 still hanging on, down with 36 men, but this one is quickly being depleted. Already 20 men lost in the unit. my Svea Lifeguards and the Andra Lifeguards holding very strongly. Let's go ahead and zoom over here. I called a general retreat on this flank. I had 1 or 2 of my Landwehr units try and hold back the French, and I just needed to pull back to a more advantageous position. The light infantry was just wrecking me on the one flank, and I was having a real hard time actually dealing damage to them. You can see that all of these men on the ground are actually my men, and I was probably killing... How many of the light infantry did I kill? Yeah, not that many. They still got 24 out of 42, so almost half of their unit. Or actually, over half of their unit. The 33rd, which did return from breaking, is now volleying my Finland militia, I believe. Finlandsk, I believe, would be Finland militia. The rest of them are just, as I said, in a general retreat, and we are going to cross the bridge and head into the town itself. There's just no strategic reason to try and hold that much territory at this point. Both the United Kingdom and Sweden have taken quite a bit of damage, and their armies are already exhausted from the generalized retreat across the boggy plains of Norway. I am going to leave a few units here to defend. You can see that the French are going to pursue us shortly. I do send 2 units, however, down this direction because I see that the Danes are starting to form up here to take on the next line of defenses of the United Kingdom. We do have the British artillery quickly mobilizing and moving to the other side of the battlefield. I don't know what these guys are doing, though. It's like almost like they were left behind. Maybe they lost their horses or something, so they have to kind of quickly run after the cannon. We do have Arthur Wellesley Wellington here as well. He's just surveying the battlefield, I suppose, and also checking to see what the status is on the eastern side. But to see all of the Swedish forces retreating across the bridge, I think he realizes that the farmstead has been lost. However, we did make the French pay for it with many lives. Having a little chuckle here as well because one of the depleted Danish units did try to get into this this building in the center of town, but Azrien Fox sent in a unit of... I believe he sent in a unit of foot, actually, and they were just absolutely annihilating this Danish unit. It was quite funny to see. Very desperate on a new Nath's part, but I think they will get the win there. But yes, I really liked this generalized retreat here from Azrien Fox. He was doing no good work against the Danes while they were in this tree cover. You can just see the line of dead English soldiers here in this field. Albeit there is a line here of dead Danish soldiers, but I think that the tree line did provide a decent amount of cover for them, and it just wasn't really a very good trade-off. Let me zip across over here and see how the French are doing. It looks like the Lifeguards have been victorious, and just look at this battlefield, guys. Look at this battlefield and how many dead actually lie in this small space. And most of these are French soldiers. I'm sorry to say if any of you are French, but most of them are dead French. And then once we get over here, there is a lot more dead Danish soldiers as well, but a fair amount of English soldiers have lost their lives holding this quarter of the town. Very nice formation here, I do like, from the United Kingdom, getting some good volleys into the Danish line infantry. And there we go, the flag disappearing as the Danish flag bearer is brought down. It doesn't even look... Ah, there we go. I was going to say, it doesn't even look like they're firing back. However, we've got some more Danish forces actually moving over here, and it looks like we don't have any units over here to stop this advance. I think Azrien does realize that, and he may put a unit over here in these bushes to block that off. But you can just see the amount of line infantry that Denmark still has left. I think the French are quite depleted, but Denmark, or the Danes, they're still in a pretty good position. Over here, I was indecisive about what I wanted to do here, because as I started to cross the bog, I realized that there was some Danish soldiers in the trees. So I started to move back towards my line, but then I realized that the French could actually cut me off. You can see that this is what remains of their eastern flank. We've got 97 in the 33rd. We've got 22 of the light infantry. We've got 96 in the 33rd. 162 in the 57th. And 135 in the 108th. And I believe that is everything over here. And it looks like the building was captured, so that means that that Danish unit was destroyed. And, oh, very nice, the English actually jumping right out. Yeah, it was the 2nd Foot Guards, the Lily-White's Coldstream. So that's why I was kind of chuckling when that depleted Danish unit tried to move into this, into that building. Because the Coldstream were just going to wreck them in melee. But yes, so he did have this unit here to block off the Danes from making it into the city center. You can see they lost a few in this unit and quite a few in this unit. And I'm not sure, but maybe one of them actually broke here. We do have 2 more units moving forwards and then 2 more in reserve, though. However, the 2nd Foot Coldstream Guard is going to form up and get a really good volley into the Danish soldiers there. And once again, the Danish are kind of just caught out of position here. They're forming up to fight another unit, but look at the amount of men in that unit dropping. No wonder that unit decided to break. Gotta be careful changing positions, though, because now this Danish unit of line infantry could get a good volley on their flank. But they haven't made any progress over here, which is, I guess, good for the Swedish-English alliance. And over here, I've decided to move forwards my lifeguards. I don't think any more French are going to be coming down this roadway, so it is safe to bring up my lifeguards to help in this flank and drive the Danish back. These lifeguards are very solid units. I've also got 2 units of line infantry that were brought from this side of the river, and I am going to reinforce that position. These 2 are kind of the sacrificial lambs. They're going to hold back the French for as long as possible. So I've got some Finland I think both of these. So basically the 2 Finnish units that I had were tasked with holding the French back at all costs. Now let's take a look at how things are going over here. Yeah, so because I realized I wasn't going to make it back to my lines, I decided to just go in with my original plan and put some pressure on the Danish flank. However, you can see that I've just lost 2 of my units from that decision. Yeah, both of them have routed, so that was a really terrible idea. I shouldn't have done that. However, I have reinforced this position over here, which is good with some line infantry. We've got a very strong position here from 2 units of King German Legion, and we've also got the 6-pounder horse artillery here. Oh, it's a 9-pounder, my apologies. And over here, yeah, they've just driven the Danes back to their tree line. So a lot of the fighting is going on over here at this point. So let's kind of stick over here and watch my lifeguards in action. Of course, we've got the 2 units of line infantry here, and then my lifeguards are moving onto the flanks to challenge this unit of line infantry from Denmark. But this will really help England to be able to reposition some of its forces to the main fight in the center. Yep, just ripping apart the Danish troops here. How is this one looking? Yeah, we do have the 54th Foot, the Flamers of West Norfolk, ripping into this Danish unit. I'm not sure if it is going to form up or it's going to try and charge. Looks like it is going to try and form up and get a couple of volleys. Come on, boys, you're running out of time. You're gonna break. Yeah, they're not in a position to fire. That is really too bad for Noob Nath. Over here, just look at this battle line here being mowed down by the Swedes. There we go, this unit just cracking. And that was actually his lifeguard unit, I just noticed, but cracking under the pressure from the Swedish lifeguards. Now we're going to be focusing on the flank of this lifeguard unit. So yeah, it's kind of the best of the Danish versus the best of the Swedish here. However, I just think that I have more numbers at this point. More numbers to be able to commit to this flank The French really taking heavy losses on that eastern side of the river, so there's not many French over here to lend a hand to Denmark. He's kind of all on his own. And there we go. This flank just completely collapses, allowing us to be able to reposition troops on the flank of the mainline battle. However, speaking of the mainline battle, here we go. We've got another big line battle here. 4 units of Danish line infantry against 3 units of British line infantry. Good positioning, a little bit too tucked in on this side, I would say, but we've got the 59th, the King German Legion First Foot, the Green Rascals, love the uniforms too, and then we have the 69th Foot, the Old Agamemnons. Here we've got the Sappers. Oh no, we've got some Grenadiers actually. We do have some Sappers here as well, and then we have, I believe, 3 or 4 units of line infantry, so a very, very strong Danish flank here. This is going to be very tough for the United Kingdom. I think I do commit some of my forces over here. Yeah, I see that he's turned in a little bit too much, so I push forward my unit of Swedes that I had in reserve, and I'm going to aid the United Kingdom in this fight. We should get a couple of good volleys off. There we go. Come on, men, hold. Over here, we do have a little bit of a firefight. Thankfully, I believe one of my units did return, and I finally am getting some good damage onto those light infantry now that they're caught in the river. However, more French troops are coming down to the water's edge, and also you can see that my 2 units of Finnish militia were obliterated. We've got 2 units of French infantry kind of sizing up the other side of the river. I do have 2 units of what do I have here? Just basic line infantry holding this area. And unfortunately, yes, you can see I did try to pull back my artillery across the bridge, but because of that glitch, it did destroy itself. So I was not able to use my artillery for the rest of the battle, which kind of sucked. However, as I said, we are pushing pretty heavily on this flank, although it looks like the Danish are pretty soft over here. There's not much in the way of defenders that we can see, at least. We do have Frederick af Hassen-Kessel here. That is the general. General forward movement from the United Kingdom. And now we're starting to see the remnants of the Danish line in the trees. And look how dangerous this is for the United Kingdom. Really looking very soft over here. However, because of the help from the Swedish on this flank, we actually broke this unit of line infantry. This one is broken as well. And it looks like it's down to just the Grenadiers and the 2 units of line infantry on this flank. There we go. We've got the United Kingdom turning in to face the remaining line infantry units of Denmark. And maybe we could get a little bit of a zoom in here. See the volley. And just in the distance there, I believe that some of those Denmark units did rally. And we'll be coming back into the fight. The Swedish are just holding strong over here. And yes, there we go. So the remainder of the French East resistance are able to drive my... Or did I say the Swedish? The French. The remainder of the Eastern French resistance have driven my Swedish away from the river, and now the French are going to try and cross the river, which is not very good for us because we've already got so many enemy units on this flank. It's going to be very hard to contain this. Zipping on over to the other side here, let's take a look. Okay, so it does look like Denmark has kind of rallied his units and has lined them up for one final stand on this roadway. However, as I said, he is facing my famed Swedish lifeguards. Speaking of lifeguards, I probably should have brought some lifeguard of horse instead of my hussars and dragoons. They really didn't perform that well for me in this battle. Oh, there we go. Good volley into the officer there. So yeah, this is line infantry here. This is one of the units of lifeguards. It did actually return from the battle, or sorry, from routing. But I've got 2 units of line infantry here pushing on them. There are only 43 men remaining in that unit as well. But just look at the death and destruction outside of this town, guys. A lot of dead. This is an absolute slog. And what are the French doing? So they've got the 2 units kind of just sitting there. They're not really doing much. And here we go. I've actually brought my Swedish unit around. Now that the United Kingdom has actually gained the upper hand against the Danes over here, you can see we've just got the Grenadiers and the Sappers left who are kind of dug in. These reinforcements that have broken and rallied are going to try to get back into the fight. So I do bring my extra unit of Swedish line infantry over here to try and stop the French, or at least delay the French for as long as possible from crossing this river. And this is a unit of line infantry, so they should be pretty solid. But we are going up against the 33rd, that light infantry, and another unit of the 33rd. There we go. Volley into them, boys. Don't let them cross the river. And I've got my depleted unit of line infantry over here as well. So very staunch resistance on the other side of this river. Very long time to reload these guns. There we go. I don't know about these light infantry, though. They just will not die. It's such a frustration. Ooh, but I see some volleying on the river here. Yes, so I did bring some of my Swedish units across, trying to volley against the French. This is probably a pretty bad idea, though. I shouldn't have moved my Swedish units across the bridge and just held a defensive position instead, because the French are just going to get some free shots against us now. And this other unit is going to block our pathway here on the bridge. Oh, actually, it looks like they're going to countercharge. There we go, charging in. Well done, boys. Some of these guys didn't get the memo, though, and are charging on the side of the bridge. That is not where the battle is. Intense fight here as the Swedish try to push their way across the bridge. And did the French break? They're shaken, which is excellent. They've got an excellent position here to volley into them, though. But look who has returned. Just when you thought that the Finnish militia were off the battlefield, no, they are not. One of the units has returned and is slowly sneaking up behind this French unit. And I think the French unit will be surrounded very shortly. However, if we zoom in here, you can see that things are not going very well for my Swedish line infantry. We did manage to break that unit, but we're taking a lot of casualties. Yeah, you can see they have broken now, unfortunately. So yeah, not the best idea, I think, to push my 2 units across. We did break the 1 unit of 57th, but the 108th is still very much alive. There we go, though, some excellent volleys, and I think that son of Celebrimbor was a little bit surprised by that as he was trying to withdraw this unit, and the Finnish militia just open fired. But, yeah, they're already shaken, so they'll probably break very shortly. Let's see how this defense is going over here on the river. Still pretty tough, and yes, thankfully that light infantry broke after, what, 40 minutes in this battle? Let's quickly take a look how things are going up over here. Okay, so yeah, actually, the Denmark units have rallied, and it looks like they are going to flank me on the water. That is not very good. However, over here, my Swedish units are just pushing the Danes out of their cover on this tree line. You can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units that are broken, at least. So well done to the Svea Lifeguards. And we've got the 54th and the 2nd Foot Guards over here just cleaning house. But yes, now my Swedish stand to be surrounded by the 2 Danish line infantry units. Let's take a look at what is going on over here. The Finnish militia have broken. This unit of line infantry remains broken. And the French just have no mercy. They are just gunning them down, ensuring that they do not return to the battlefield. Look at all the Swedes that I lost over here. That was actually a terrible, terrible idea. However, thankfully, Azrien Fox has some troops left over in his roster. He's got the 71st Light Foot Highlands and the 32nd Foot, the Red Feathers. And of course I do have my general here as well. But things are slowly entering the cleanup phase. I'm not sure if the Danes even made it over here to challenge my Swedish troops. However, the French have routed one of my units. That was my reinforcing unit, and make that both of them. So they have broken my resistance over here just as the Danes actually arrive on the tree line. And the French are free to cross the river and lend a hand. How are things going on over here? Yeah, we've got some more Danish troops here. Actually, the 2nd Foot Guards are going to be charging in. We're not going to be able to see, though, because they're kind of charging into this bush here. There we go. Well done. We've got more Danish forces over here. Yeah, we got the sappers and the grenadiers. So they're actually going to get a flank charge on the 2nd Foot Guards here. They have, oh, they broke the line infantry though, so if the Foot Guards turn around, they might be able to stop these grenadiers initially. However, grenadiers are very solid in melee, so they'll probably be able to break the 2nd Foot. 70 men and 50 men. Eager, tired. Eager, tired. Very, very close fight. You can see that the Swedish are slowly pushing forwards here. Again, my 2 lifeguards over here just forcing all of the Danes to leave the safety of their tree line and just charge in to the forces of Great Britain. But I think that is about it over here. Actually, it looks like we do have the French slowly starting to move across the bridge. He's got no other choice but to do so. And over here, he is also rallying with the remaining Danish units here on this tree line. However, we really don't have much over here. We've got the 1st Foot Guards, the Brown Bills, King's Own, and that is pretty much it. My lifeguards are very far away from the tree line. And we've got another annoying unit from Denmark that has returned from routing. So I think I will, yeah, activate my Svea lifeguards to go and teach them a lesson. My Andra lifeguards are headed over here to block them from making any headway towards the town center and towards our generals. Very good positioning from the United Kingdom, though. Yes, good volleys on the French. Let's actually zoom in here. And if you guys can see in the distance, whose flag is that has trapped the French on the bridge? Oh yes, it is my unit of line infantry. That is back. We've got the... Actually, do I have 2 units of line infantry there that have returned? Yeah, my other unit of line infantry returned as well. But needless to say, the French are caught between the United Kingdom and Sweden. What a beautiful trap. And just look at this, there is nowhere for them to go. I think I do actually get a volley into their backs before charging in, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm sure they are ready to exact some vengeance on the French for the amount of Swedish bodies they are just climbing over. Some of the French do turn around to face these Swedes, but we are going to charge into their backs. And there we go, and now they have to turn around to deal with the Swedish, and the volleys from the 32nd Foot, the Red Feathers, have cracked the resistance of the 108th, and they are just being slaughtered on this bridge. There we go, yes, as they retreat. A couple of good volleys into their backs. This unit, I don't think I noticed that this unit even came back, to be honest, which is kind of funny. But, yeah, there we go. Some of the Danish forces over here have routed, and we've got some small pockets of resistance from the French. We've got the 33rd over here. I'm not sure where they're forming up. I guess to deal with the 2nd Foot Guards, the Lily-White's Coldstream. And this French unit, I think, is just charging right at the artillery. Oh my goodness, that canister shot was absolutely disgusting. Come on, get another volley into them, please. They're loading it. Come on, just rip them apart. Come on. Oh, yes! There we go. And the French are out of here. They're like, nope, that is it. We're going to leave the battlefield and hopefully keep our lives. Over here as well, we've got the 33rd forming up, but I don't think there's much that they're going to be able to do. However, it looks like the second foot guards hadn't even noticed them there. But no matter, I've got my Andra lifeguards closing on in. Come on, boys, you gotta decide, form up or fight. They see the 33rd routing, and they're probably just realizing that there's no hope. However, this may be a victory for the Swedish and the English, but the Swedish and English alliance has taken some seriously heavy losses in this battle. However, thankfully, because the French and the Danish were driven off, I believe that the Swedish will be able to continue their controlled retreat back into friendly territory. And the Andra lifeguards with a couple of more volleys. I think, what are they actually volleying right now? I'm not actually sure. Probably just some of the retreating French troops. But I think that is everything. Is there anybody else? What do we got over here? Oh, we've got... Nope, they've broken. Okay. Got a unit broken here. Yeah, I think that must be it. Unless there's a unit from Denmark that hasn't broken. Or actually, yeah, is it down here, maybe? In the tree line, and we just can't see it or something? At least the second foot was pursuing those two units of the French, making sure that they don't rally once again. And what's going on with the Swedish over here? Did they break? Yeah, I didn't think so. This is pretty much all that remains of my army, by the way. I've got my Andra Lifeguard, I've got my Untitled Infantry, and the Svea Lifeguard. And that is it. Glorious, glorious victory for the Swedish. Oh, and I do have a couple of units over here, I believe. Ah, is this the last French unit? Yes, it is. Here we are. This is what I was wondering. I was like, there must be one more unit. And this is going to be a perfect end to this battle. The French are just going to charge in. Brave souls that they are. We've got a combined Swedish and English force over here. We've got the 32nd Foot, the Red Feathers, and we also have one of my line infantry units. And we've actually got my general here as well. George Karl von Dubel, I hope is how you pronounce it. But he's looking to get his sword wet after this battle as well. Here he goes, charging into the flanks. One of the worst charges I've actually ever seen. It's so slow, my goodness. There we go. Charge in, boys. Charge in. And they just immediately break. Well done, Swedish. Well done. And here is the battle results, guys. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I did have the speech turned off in this battle, so let me know how you like that. Sometimes I find it very distracting when the guy just blurts out, "Sir, sir, the enemy is running, sir," like that kind of thing. So yeah, all the speech was off on this, but if you would like that kind of spattered in and about the future videos in Napoleonic Total War 3, I can just switch it back on for you. But here we go. So Azrien Fox with 1,700, me with 2,900, so I believe that was the largest force fielded. Noob Nath with 26, and 26 for Son of Celebrimbor. Heavy losses between these two, and I actually lost more men than Azrien did, but I think he has the least amount of men left, only like 500 or 600 remaining, but the most kills by Azrien, so very well done there. And actually, Son of Celebrimbor with the second amount, I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought Denmark would have done more damage. But here's my unit statistics here. So yeah, the Svea Lifeguard and the Andra Lifeguard really doing some work there for me. But then I guess the Dragoons didn't do too bad because they got 97 kills. They did get some pretty decent charges there. And one of my units of Landwehren, so this is a cheap militia unit, 98 kills. This next one, 86 kills, so very, very good. And the Finnish militia representing there was 63 kills. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed today's battle. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one.